All right, take it away.
So, hi everyone. I am Nicole Mathern. You call me Nikki. I go by either or, and I work for an organization called Leidos. Um, and I will tell you more about Leidos in the presentation, but I'll tell you a little bit about me. So, I started out in aviation. I went into the military. I was an air traffic controller, and that's kind of how I begun my career. I mean, I did have a high school job. I actually worked at a gas station and we did the old fashioned pump the gas for people. But my real career started in aviation as an air traffic controller. From there, I kind of went into real estate after I got out of the military. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do afterwards. You know, I was at an intersection and I was like, I could do something different, do something new. Even though aviation is a very fun and very challenging job, air traffic control is actually one of the most stressful jobs there is. So I was thinking that I didn't want a stressful job. So I tried real estate. And then after real estate, I went back into aviation, but as an air traffic assistant. This is where we kind of file flight plans and track aircraft. And if they come up missing or late, we start search and rescue and things of that nature. And then we also manage things on the airfield. Like if they need gas, they'll call us on the radio, or if they have a fuel spill, we'll call the fire station, et cetera, et cetera. Um, After that, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. So then I went into, I actually went from Alabama to Texas after I got out of the military. I was stationed in Alabama. Then I came back home to St. Louis because I got into flight information publications, which is another aspect of aviation. And then I learned that there's a lot of GIS that goes into making these publications and into aviation that I didn't know about before. And I'm from St. Louis. And I was surprised to find that St. Louis is a very specific hub for GIS, and it's just a geospatial industry here that I had never heard of, and I'm from here, so that was different. Have anybody heard of St. Louis being a geospatial hub or GIS?
No.
No, okay. And that's fine because okay, we had one person say yes. I know that the majority is probably no, because we have an organization here, a government entity called NGA, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and they were very quiet for a while. It's only recently that they started to come out and say, hey, we're in your community and we want to support you. They kind of did it from the shadows before. So that's great. So you'll hear more about them in the new facilities they're building. But that is a little bit about me. Now I want to ask one more question before we get started. Did anyone come to the career conference last month that I had virtually? And that's fine if no. That's great.
What day was it?
Oh, it was June 30th. We had a virtual career conference. I gave a lot of goodies, AMC gift cards. We played games. It was great. And that's good because now I know how to communicate with you, and I'll share some of the information that I gave those kids to you. So give me 1 second and I'll go into our organization. And if you have any questions, just throw them out there in the chat and Ms. Hogan will let me know, so I can maybe stop and answer them. So give me one moment. All right, the name of my presentation is Geo because it covers all three aspects of everything: geospatial, GeoInt, and GIS. Even though they are similar, they're different. And I'll tell you a little bit about how in a couple slides. But first, let me tell you a little bit about Leidos. A lot of people pronounce it all kind of ways. Leidos, this, that, and the other. It's part of Kaleidoscope. And it's so we find solutions from multiple angles. That is where it comes from. So it's called Leidos. And our mission is essentially to make the world a safer, healthier place through STEM. I mean, we have a lot of extra words in there, but essentially it's through science, technology, engineering, and math. And our vision is to become a global leader in the development and application of technology to engage and develop and empower of diverse and valued people and strengthen our communities through volunteerism, sustainable operations, and the advancement of equality. And we do this, our mission and vision, by leading with our values: integrity, inclusion, innovation, agility, collaboration, and commitment. And I'm a part of that commitment because I am our community partnership manager currently at Leidos. So I went from flight information publications to a more community role. And I mean, think about all those different careers and jobs that I did, but I found my passion. And I'm going to tell you guys how to find yours earlier or sooner rather than later. So first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what GIS is. Now, GeoInt and Geospatial, they're all different, but they're all very related. But for you guys who don't know what GIS is, we're going to watch a quick video on what it is. And Ms. Hogan's going to play that.
Okay, just a moment. We gotta restart this video. I think it's ready.
That's fine. We had a comment from Neely. I was just about to ask, did this involve STEM? But you just answered the question. Yes, very much so.
Okay, do y'all see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Let me know if it doesn't play well.
We're good.
GIS stands for Geographic Information System.
That pause.
Using computer hardware, software, and a ton of raw data, we can explore the fundamental principle of geography, that location is important in people's lives. Using GIS, we can view, understand, question, visualize, and interpret data in visual ways that reveal relationships and patterns, which allows us to make better decisions. For example, a meteorologist might study the paths of hurricanes to predict where and when they might occur in the future. A city planner can choose the best location for a new park or hospital, ensuring that they are built in the place where they're needed the most. GIS is essential to understanding what has happened, what is happening, and what will happen in geographic space. Geographic understanding brings wisdom, and with wisdom, we can make better decisions to create a brighter future.
All right. You're muted.
Thank you, Ms. Hogan. Yes. Hopefully you guys can see my GIS screen again. Okay, awesome. So, we talked a little bit about what GIS is, but the GIS aspect essentially is the technology piece, is using the computer systems to get a lot of information that we get from the Earth's surface to better understand how we're going to allocate our resources, essentially. Use of technology to collect data and explore the relationships, space and time, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But let's look at some definitions. So geospatial is the data related to geography, someplace on Earth, essentially. GeoInt is the geospatial intelligence, geospatial data that uses imagery to analyze topography, natural or man-made land structures. I was in a class today and they were talking about how they use satellite images to see how China was creating islands off of the coral reefs and everything. And sometimes we also use satellite imagery to identify where people are doing, the weapons of, they were practicing with weapons they're not supposed to, according to, maybe UN agreement or whatnot. Even so, we can find different bases and different structures where we just kind of identify those things. So those are just some examples of how we might use GeoIntelligence. But we monitor that and any changes. And then also GIS, which we just watched a video, is the actual technology application used to collect and analyze quality, assure, report, and visualize geospatial data. So these are all, like she said, fancy words of saying this is how we map things on Earth. with technology and why we map it with technology. So like, why does this matter, right? And it's important that you guys learn what GIS is and the whole geospatial, GeoInt aspect of it, because, you know, where we fall behind globally and without innovation in this specific career field, we'll be left out workforce. You know, people won't enter these jobs, and then there won't be education solutions. And it relates to sustainable energy solutions, outer space. We use it for global soft power, advanced fatal weaponry. I kind of talked about that. I can't think of that big mushroom weapon, the atomic bombs and stuff.
Is it weapons of mass destruction?
Yes, yes, that is it. But there's another specific word that I can't get out of my mind. But even so, essentially, you know, we want to structure this and we want to be able to identify it when people are, you know, gearing up or they're changing the land structures because that's what they're doing. And then there's also the allied infrastructure assets, 5G technology, artificial intelligence is huge, and then robotics, and then geospatial intelligence, again, collecting data so we can identify mission critical, very important things. And then high-speed rail and other sustainable transportation. Like, all of these are very important to GIS, and it actually relates to more than you think. The top industries for geospatial are architecture, engineering, and construction. You know, we want to know and plan out where we want to sit a mall, or where we need to put a hospital or a fire station, just like they kind of mentioned in the video. Businesses might use it to see where they're better, or they would be better situated according to their services. And then there's health and human services, again, hospitals and things of that nature, national defense, homeland security, agriculture. I said agriculture, it's architecture earlier. And transportation and logistics, utilities, and IT. You know, these are all top industries for geospatial. And let's talk real stuff, guys. I know you guys are like, okay, so how much money would I make if I went into this field? So, you know, let's look at entry level. Just entering, you're looking at $30,000 to $50,000 at an entry level. And that could be like a CAD drafter, survey technician. You guys see them on the streets all the time. You might not realize it. They're a lot of times wearing like a hard hat or an orange shirt, and they're at the corner with like some kind of tripod, and they're measuring things. You know, they're taking surveys. And then there's the cartographic technician and a geospatial GIS analyst, which is what I learned that I was very connected to when I began the FLIP project, Flight Information Publications. And I'll show you more at the end of these slides why that connects to aviation. And then there's the a step up. You're looking at $50,000 to $70,000 salaries and pay, and that those are senior geospatial GIS analysts, cartographers, remote sensing analysts, and LiDAR analysts. LiDAR is, I believe, is when you shoot the radar down to the earth to measure distances and measure other things too. And then up to $80,000 in management, and then the senior executives make up to $150,000. So these are just some of the career ladder that you could go on with a job in GIS, or, you know. But the thing is, you're not limited there, because, you know, there's a lot of transferable skills now, and with the next gen talent cultivation, because there's the Internet of Things, which is everything IT. And I see your questions in the comments, and I'll get to that in a second. And then there's cybersecurity. I know you hear this on the news all the time. They're like, oh, we just had a cyber attack from Russia, or a cyber attack here, or a cyber attack there. They're beefing up those that industry and those jobs, and we need those. And then you hear a lot about artificial intelligence. Well, GIS and geospatial technology and the cultivation of this career field is right in the middle of all these important things. So you could potentially get a certification, actually, even in high school, through Gateway Global, which is a partner entity of ours. We actually sponsor them, and they're the only ones in the United States that could credential at the high school level, and they're right here in St. Louis. Again, that organization is Gateway Global, and you can Google them, Gateway Global St. Louis, and see about joining from your schools, because a lot of schools participate and send the students for free. So the school pay for it. So geospatial converges with all these critical industries that we absolutely need right now that are very, very relevant. Now, in the comments, I see, what degree would you recommend for going into this career? See, that's the great thing that I was saying about the credential. You can get that GIS credential, and you can begin at this entry level right here, entry level with the credential. So you could potentially get a job while you're going to college. And they do have GIS degrees or a geography degree or something like that. Or, sometimes they have like political science and different degrees of that nature. A lot of degrees actually cross over. I would say for GIS, the most common is a geography degree. But you can start without a degree. You can get the credential and enter the entry level. The next question was, are first-year college students able to do the Gateway Global? Yes, absolutely. It is for high school students and especially first-year college students. And there are several universities that are looking to take the Gateway Global as college credit. So they're working on that right now. So market sizes, again, the industry is exploding. Geospatial really leads to all of the other fields, but geospatial alone is a $134.5 billion industry. Cybersecurity is in demand. And I do believe we have sister entities that after you finish the Gateway Global course, you can continue on and get training in cybersecurity and other things of that nature with sister entities. And then there's the artificial intelligence, is a $391 billion industry, and Internet of Things that covers everything, 1.1 trillion. And it's just growing as we become a more advanced technological people. So let's look at how relatable GIS is in our modern world. Now, these are one of the videos is kind of older, but it is a very realistic way that we use it right now to develop more technology. And then the other one, it explains more of how we use GIS in aviation. So I will pause this. Ms. Hogan will play those two videos for us, and then let me know if you guys have any questions.
I'm sorry, I had a question. I posted it in the chat, but I don't know if you saw it or not. But I pretty much was just asking, how did you know you wanted to be involved in having a career in GIS?
Actually, I was following my aviation track, and because GIS is related to everything, I kind of fell into it. And because I'm from St. Louis, I definitely promote it like crazy now. So you guys, you don't have to fall into it. You can know about it and plan for it and do it intentionally. Now I'm a community partnership manager, and so I advocate all STEM activities, credentials, opportunities for students. And that's a big part of me speaking here today. So GIS, you remember I had showed you that image where it was like right in the center of everything? It really is. It's almost going to be like the basics of like learning a computer. And then every other career field kind of branch off to it. So it's a great starting point if you want to do anything in technology. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry I missed your question.
It's okay.
Okay, is this the video you want?
That might be the commercial.
Yeah, I think
That face that is usually covered by her phone has finally made an appearance.
how's this one?
Yeah.
Every day, some 30,000 flights move across Europe's airspace on precise tracks through multiple airspaces. But some missions, or unexpected situations, require dedicated airspace and operators, like test flights, military fighter training missions, or remotely piloted aircraft systems. Together with Airbus, Luciad developed the Collaborative Airspace Provision Service application to capitalize on the data available in the single European sky. An airspace user can easily define the size of the necessary airspace, as well as the time frame and the maximum acceptable transit distance of the airspace from home base. The user can interactively manipulate the airspace in 4D and immediately see conflicting traffic or trajectories. The Collaborative Airspace Provision Service application won the 2014 César SWIM Masterclass Best in Class Award for optimizing use of airspace within the single European sky. To ensure visibility, the user can view cloud coverage and precipitation data. Aligned with the concept of System-Wide Information Management, or SWIM, the user can export the airspace to AIXM for review with SWIM-enabled components, such as OGC Web Services or Luciad's AIXM5 viewer.
Okay, do you want to go straight to the next video?
Yes, and I'll recap afterwards.
Okay, that's the one on Stanford.
Yes.
Let's try this again.
Birds are masters of maneuverability in ways that we are only beginning to understand.
Birds can dramatically change the shape of their wing almost instantly and respond in that way very quickly to flying in turbulence, avoiding obstacles, and also flying very effectively over long distances. Here we are in front of a brand new bird wind tunnel. It's a wind tunnel in which we can study how birds fly up close so that we can learn the magic of flight and translate that into better flying robots. What's great about it is that we can vary the speed of the wind very precisely, from very close to 0 meters per second all the way to about 50 meters per second, which is very fast.
The tunnel is designed to be super low turbulence, but we also want to study how birds fly in turbulence and how we design vehicles that are more stable in turbulence. So we also have this turbulence generation system. We can actually not only control how strong the turbulence is, but where the turbulence is in the tunnel.
Birds are flying at 10 meters per second, but in our lab, they're basically not moving. Because it's still in the same little test section, we could use a lot of our other lab equipment, like our high-speed cameras and our motion tracking devices, to measure all the kinematics and forces that it's generating without needing to use up a large expansive space that would be necessary without the wind tunnel.
I've been working with both lovebirds and parrotlets. The technique we use is all positive reinforcement for voluntary flights. That way we're getting calm, natural flights as they would be in their natural environment.
Students are super excited to figure out what is it that enables birds to fly under these complex conditions, and how can we translate what we find into developing robots that can be used for delivery, search and rescue, any application in an urban environment where conditions like wind are really unpredictable.
Okay, guys, thank you for watching our 2 videos. And I'm going to share my screen again really fast. And I'm going to talk to you about the videos and how they're relatable, because I know the bird one's kind of far, but I thought it was cool because they're using animals to develop new technology. So on the one hand, where you see the kind of blue horizon, you know, we saw a video where they were using GIS to map airspace. So when you think of, you know, mapping the Earth's surface, it's not just the things on the ground, but even 3D models of our airspace in time and space to track aviation safety. We use these different systems to make sure the planes don't run into each other. We can estimate their routes, what would be best, what would be quickest, and a lot of other things that we use it for, like how much fuel they might use in between A and B, and etc. So, and what maybe requirements might be needed if they're at a certain altitude, depending on the certain aircraft. Like, I mean, there's so much. Like, GIS is the initial starting point, but it just expounds all these other different facets of technology and information that we can bury on top of it. So like I said, GIS is a great starting point, which also brings me to the next video. In that video, they were mapping actually animals to develop better technology. And this flying technology that they're trying to create are drones. And we use a lot of drone technology to help us with agriculture, find poachers, identify people tearing down rainforests or trees or anything kind of crazy like that. Now we study our Earth's surface with drones, and we just watched a video on how they actually design those based off of like animals and the study of them and things like that. But it's all technology, and these are two of the major ways GIS leads into so many different fields. You know, it really corresponds and correlates with everything. Sometimes studying biology and working with animals, there's definitely intersections of GIS and biology. As a matter of fact, I have a book on my desk of the intersections of biology and GIS, and then also aviation. So that's how I kind of came into GIS through my aviation career. This is a St. Louis aerial map, and all of this depicts the structures, antennas, I would say elevations and things of that nature, as well as airspace around St. Louis and our different airfields, because there are like 3 or 4 on this map right here. And I learned how to read it as an aviator. I know it probably looked like a lot of stuff on the screen to you guys, but the yellow part is essentially like the city areas. It represents a lot of the lights and things of that nature. And a lot of, I mean, the maroonish lines, those are different airspaces, and they tell you how to enter that airspace and things of that nature. But maps and things of that nature, this is just one of the many ways GIS is in aviation. And I only brought up this because I was an aviator, probably still an aviator, really. So airspace, you can use GIS to track wildlife strikes. You know, if you ever planes depart and hit a bird or wherever around the airfield, you want to monitor that because it could cause an accident. Or different inspection areas on the airfield, charting high altitudes. We use GIS for obstacles, surfaces. Again, you know, you want to fly over this tall building here, you want to be at least 500 feet above it. And just other charts when you're approaching an airfield, or you have to do a missed approach. Maybe you can't land because something's on the runway or anything weird like that. So that. This is what I used to work on. This was a St. Louis aerial flip chart, and this shows the specific airport, St. Louis Lambert International. And it has all kind of information like the direction of the runways, the airfield elevation, when it was published. It has different taxiways and hotspots and where to get maintenance. All of this stuff is just another form of is another map, and it is also GIS, anything that studies the Earth's surface. So this is what I told my students at my conference. And what I was alluding to at the beginning of this spiel: know yourself, know thyself. Because like me, you guys might be good at everything, but it doesn't make you happy. You know, I'm definitely a jack of many trades, but there's one thing that I like to do so work doesn't feel like work. I enjoy coming in. I look forward to it. I can set goals. I can visualize where I want to be. And that's what you want to be. That's the place you want to be in. I just come to work to make money. The money will come if you do what you love. So I had everyone go to 16personalities.com. Take the personality test. I think it's like 20 questions, and it'll tell you a little bit about yourself. And then it'll show people with your personality type what career fields you might be interested in, and you can map GIS to everything. So, and you're definitely not limited there. But since, you know, you guys are early on, and sometimes we learn this later on in life, but know yourself. Know what you love to do and try and incorporate it in what you do. Now, does anyone have any questions? And if you guys don't have any questions, and if we have time, yes, 16personalities.com, absolutely. And you know what? I was in aviation for a good 8 years, maybe more, actually, because I still work on the foot part-time, actually, many more years, actually. But and when I took the personality test, I tested for an INFJ. And guess what? According to my personality test, I should have been doing this here, community partnerships, and not aviation, not this techie stuff. Even though, you know, everything's kind of related, but, you know, imagine how many years that I could have spent doing this and how much further I could have built in my activities, even though I do it big. I still do a great job. But, you know, you never know if I had started sooner. But it's definitely it's very rewarding to do what I want to do versus what I have to do. Now I'm going to look up that Gateway Global site.
I know Barry DeCara was asking which software you use for the map. Have you answered that one yet?
Oh, no, I didn't. And for the maps and for GIS here in St. Louis and at Leidos, the most common one used is ArcPro. And that's what Gateway Global trains on. Give me one moment. Cleaning ladies were here.
Now's the time where everyone can unmute themselves if you do have a question, or you can still use the chat feature if that's more comfortable for you. But you got the expert right here, so ask away.
Ask away. Right now, I'm working on developing introductory GIS essentials at the elementary level, and I'm going to do that with augmented and virtual reality as a community partnership manager. So I dibble and dabble in everything to get you guys going in STEM. And because we here in our home are inside of a geospatial hub, I want to make sure you guys have every opportunity to have that GIS course or credential or whatever you can get under your belt. And I'm going to look at that Gateway Global course really fast.
Because there are so many different areas within the industry that you can choose career-wise, what's the best place you recommend starting to see where you're most interested? I know there's the personality test, but is there a way to kind of dabble in the different fields?
In the different fields, absolutely. I definitely would do the personality test. If you're interested in GIS because it relates to everything, you might as well see if you can get the credential, you know, because that's just one thing you can put on your resume, and it also qualifies you for an entry-level position. But next, I would start interning at places and seeing if you can work somewhere for a few hours for free or for paid internship, whatever you can get to begin dibbling and dabbling. And now is the time to start. And you don't have to and say, you're like, okay, I cannot work. I have to work. Well, just do it for a few hours. and a lot of times that will open up the doors and you can begin building your networks and your relationships to get in the door. And then you just kind of move around. And when you're researching organizations and companies, I always recommend that you look more, not just the job, but also, do they have strong I&D? And when I say I&D, that means inclusion and diversity programs. Because when you start anywhere, especially fresh, you're not going to know anybody. So you want to make sure you go to an organization that's very welcoming, that has these groups where you can kind of easily fit in and start building your internal networks and those friendships. And always get involved. Don't just like show up, participate. If they have free events and, things of that nature in the organization, attend those free events.
Were you able to find a mentor when you were younger and first entering the field?
Actually, when I first entered aviation, no, but when I got into GIS and here at Leidos, yes. As a matter of fact, they have very strong mentor programs outside of their I&D, even though a lot of times when you're participating in the inclusion and diversity employee resource groups, we have 9 of them. And those range from African American Leidos networks, disabilities, women's network, Pride network, military alliance networks, and I know I'm forgetting some young professional network. It's like, how can I forget these? And we have an Asian Pacific Islander network, OLA, all these different, they're kind of like internal clubs that you can join. You can find mentors in there, but you can also do a formal mentorship. We have an internal website where we can just go on there and we can essentially surf for mentors via the career field. Maybe we're in this field, but we maybe want to jump ship and go over there. So, we might look for a mentor over on that side of the house where we can kind of change career fields. And that's another great thing about Leidos. We have they say 4 groups, but we really have 5. We have health, we have civil, intelligence, defense, and dynetics, which is a lot of our space activities and things of that nature. So you can change your mind in the same company as much as you want. So you never have to really get rid of your networks. That's what I like about my company. And then we're purple. So I had to purple it up. So yeah, so you have all of those opportunities inside our organization. So you want to make sure when you're looking at organizations, you have that mobility, that you have those diversity and inclusion programs, and there's those employee resource groups that you can kind of weave into. You don't have to, have 10 years to know someone. You can immediately begin building your networks. Okay, someone asked, what websites do you typically use to download or retrieve data to create the map with? There are actually, when you log into these sites, and you'll learn about this in the GIS course, a lot of information is already done. You're just kind of pulling it from, I would say, was it Esri compiles a lot of data. There's a lot of websites out there. The data's already there, and then you can plot it on your map. You just got to learn how to do that. A lot of times we have mapathons. As a matter of fact, in October and actually in September, we're having a space food hackathon. And what a hackathon is you just create any kind of technology. It could be using GIS. It could be using another form of technology just to create something useful. But they're going to do a hackathon that could involve mapping in September, but they are doing a mapathon in October because St. Louis will be having the GeoInt 2021. There's everything geospatial industry right here descending at our convention center, right down the road here from me. So during that, we're going to have a high school program or a young college program, college students to high school, and you could participate virtually in a mapathon. So we're going to take this area, we're going to start pulling information and put it on the maps, and you'll learn all about this during that. They're going to do training sessions on Monday, and then you'll kind of map And then Friday, it'll be the conclusion with a prize for the winner. So I can send you guys more information on that through STL Youth Jobs. Any other questions? That was some good stuff, you know. Like I know GIS every day. I tell everyone about it. And I look forward to creating these programs for kids so we can be exposed as soon as possible. Because we really want to get ahead of the game. Any other questions? Okay, so what made me want to leave real estate? You know, honestly, I started real estate because I wanted to buy a house. And I didn't want to be gypped. I wanted to know what I was doing in the entire process. So that's why I got into it. And that's another important thing of choosing a career. Know your whys. And that's actually something my mentor told me today, because I have like 4. You don't have to be limited in your mentors. Get as many as you want. And one of my mentors told me, remember my why. And it's something that escapes us. Why I got into real estate was so I wouldn't be ignorant in it. And when I purchased my house, I would know the lingo. And I cannot tell you how valuable that was in moving different markets, moving in different states, because some of the practices that they teach you not to do, I had done to me, so I was aware of that because I knew real estate, because I studied it. I don't consider myself ever really getting out of it. I actually have an offer on my 3rd property because I want to advance my portfolio through real estate. So I got into it for me, and I still use it for me. I just don't use it as my bread and butter for my career, if that makes sense. It is definitely a part of my portfolio. It'll always be a part of me. And no matter what I did along my journey, everything is useful. No time was wasted. I still use everything that I learned. So all is good. So you said St. Louis was the hub for GIS. It is the hub. Oh, it disappeared. Okay, what are some other companies and businesses that focus on GIS? Oh, there are so many. There's Maxar here. There is Harris here. There's obviously Boeing dabbles in GIS. Every technology company here in St. Louis does some form of GIS, if that answers your question. And I'm just going to bring up some slides here on let me stop sharing. I have more companies listed in another slide. Anyways, I'll find those companies, but for sure, there's a ton of companies here that deal in GIS. Every technology company pretty much in St. Louis has a GIS function. But I'm going to rep my company because, like I said, check out their diversity and inclusion, because that's where we want to be. We want to be a more inclusive nation. So we should definitely make it profitable. Any other questions? Okay, here's another. Worldwide Technology, Lockheed Martin, Honeywell, AT&T, and I already mentioned L3 Harris. I call them Harris, but those are some other major entities right here in St. Louis that you might have heard of that also has GIS technicians. But there's a ton of other ones. because these are just the big companies. There's also these things called subcontractors that contract with the larger companies, and they all hire GIS specialists as well. But it's also relates to Amarin technicians at the utility companies. I mean, it relates to people who do zoning for city and things of that nature. As a matter of fact, the city actually is a big component that hires GIS specialists as well. And because you have the whole survey and aspect and everything, and many other ones. Any other questions? Feel like we should have some music going. One of my coworkers like to play music in meetings to make sure, you know, everybody is energized. And I know this is maybe a lot for you guys. And if I definitely I hope you guys visit that 16 personalities and learn which personality type you are and how this might relate to you according to that. Did anybody take the quiz so far while we were on the computer or phone? Okay, so okay. What did you come out to be? I think it was my chat just jumped up. Okay, so Diana, is it Dianeth or Diane? How do you? What did you turn out to be according to your test?
Hi, yeah. So I just took it, and it said that I was a protagonist, but I didn't read it completely yet. But that's what I know so far. That it just came out as that.
Oh, but it usually tells you like some letters before that. Like my INFJ stands for introverted, intuitive, feeling, judgmental. So, and then -A for advocate.
I honestly, when I took it, it had all of those, but I accidentally X'd out of it to go to the next part.
Oh, okay.
Because it like just popped up, and so I couldn't go back to it because I was scared that I would have to retake the whole thing over.
Oh, no, you shouldn't have to take the whole thing over. You can probably find it in your history if you just go back to it or whatnot. It'll probably actually read in the URL. Mm-hmm. And I see that Ms. Hogan posted some kind of survey to complete and win a gift card. So definitely take advantage of that opportunity. Take advantage of every opportunity, as many as possible.
Yeah, every time you complete the survey, you're entered into the drawing to win a gift card. We've had 2 winners so far, so the feedback's very valuable. I love your suggestion on music. We should do that in future ones, actually. So any feedback you have helps us improve each session that we do because we want everybody to benefit from it.
Right. And then later, if we ever have any more of these events, I have bingo and trivia too, so.
Does anyone have any final questions before we wrap up? We do have someone asking for your email. Thank you. I'm also going to provide all the links that we have in the chat and the different areas that Nikki already mentioned that are going on in St. Louis. We'll include that in the email along with the recording tag. So like exactly she was saying, just take advantage of any opportunity you can get. It works in your schedule. If you can find that internship, always go after it and don't be afraid to ask questions and mentor and find that mentorship or someone that can help you along the way. I want to say thank you so much for your time and for sharing these resources. I learned a lot, especially from those videos. I thought that was pretty cool. But We really appreciate what you're doing, and thank you so much.
No problem. You guys have a wonderful summer and a happy Tuesday. And I just got a new message. Oh, yeah, you're very welcome, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. Have a good one, everyone.